Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Wargame from Games. And we're doing some more Wargame Red Dragon replay, tactics, and stuff. And today we are once again on a 1v1 map, Plunjing Valley. And I'm fighting against Cyber Wyber again, but this time I'm playing as the Great NATO Forces. And Mr. Cyber Wyber is playing as the Red 4 group. So today we're going to be switching it up a bit, so I'm going to let it run because we're placing units down. So basically I am using I believe my German, West Germany deck, and Mr. Cyber Wyber is using his, my Russian deck that I used in the previous video, because he still isn't too sure about how to make decks. So I gave him that deck because it's a pretty good deck for getting a lot of tanks out, so I gave him that. So now, how this game works. Now, as you can see, it's a bit smaller map than the previous one, and there's a lot fewer points to capture, so this is going to be a tight quarters match. So now, of course, Cyber Wyber and myself have played it before, so we now kind of know more about how to play. This has been like 2 or 3 days after the 1v1 we've previously played, so we've gained more experience from that, and we know a bit more about each other's fighting styles and playing styles, but still we need to learn more about each other, how our tactics differ and what we'll try. So I bring out a couple of Martyrs, transport units, Leopards, Kylers, which are pretty good tanks for the beginning, and Flak Panzer Gepard A2s, which are very decent anti-aircraft units for the beginning, and with some Roland free anti-air units in the base, just to kind of protect your base air so that they don't come in for aerial strike or a helicopter spam up in the middle. Now, as you can see, he's also spamming a lot of helos. He's going basically everywhere, but once again has made the same mistake of putting all of his command units at the front, which could be a problem, but we will see, because he has been getting quite good in the recent few days we've been playing, so this is going to be good. And because this is my Russian Red 4 deck, that means that this has a lot of tank units, which I know is going to mean that I'm going to have to be on the defensive most of the time, and I'm going to have to get my anti-tank units ready, because if he spams enough tanks, he'll be able to easily overwhelm me, or if he just comes in with helicopters. And so I prepared as much as I can, but with the limited units I get, I decided to go a three-pronged attack instead of just going for Bravo. I built a small group to go for Alpha and a Dornier 205 transport helicopters with Volkskerm Jägers or Jagers to go to Foxtrot to try and just get units in there and make sure that we get footholds in the first 3 positions. Now, I didn't know what to expect, so I went with a bit different strategy this time, as you can see, because last time I just went for 1 point first, so this time I went for all 3 points simultaneously. My scouts, I am going to be sending them soon to their respective locations. Now, of course, my main forces are going to be in the center, because that's where we fought last time mainly, so I made sure my middle and center units will be very well protected with the Leopards and the Kylers, which I know are very good ratio tanks to take out the early Russian tank units, such as the T-64s and the light tank units that they have. Now, this is the first time I've seen the replay, actually, so do bear in mind with me as we go through here. Now, I did forget to get command unit to Alpha, or was that? Yes, it was Alpha. So I could get my units in, but that was all I could do for the moment. Now, he was a bit on the front foot this time. He got his BTR first to Foxtrot, but no support as of yet. Now, he got Delta, I got Bravo. So we were quite evenly matched as to point capturing, so he went Foxtrot, I went to Alpha, so our tactics were quite similar at this position. Now, as we go to my perspective, I could only see this Mi-2 scout helicopter, and if we go to his perspective, he could only see my Fuchs and my scout helicopter here as well. So it was a quite blind match so far at this point. Let's speed it up a little bit. Otherwise, we're going to be here for a little longer. Now, I did want to get flak panzers in because that's another thing I forgot. Because although my tanks could take out the scout helicopter, it will be I remember that it will be a problem later on with planes and helicopter coming in. So now I played this match a bit safer. I just tried to get good camping positions for my tanks and all my units, and here comes my supply truck in. And it seems he went also for the same kind of tactic. Not granted, this is his first Red 4 map deck he's playing, so he needs to find out what the units do, what the names are, and so forth. So he's playing it safe as well, but at least he has Foxtrot. But I do have these units in Foxtrot, which means I have a good attacking position from here if I would do so in the future. Now he's coming down the road, or actually he's putting them in the trees. I forgot about this. Now I do have my modders here that are firing rockets, but they're getting quite wrecked by the T-64B tanks, which are also firing rockets, which killed one of my Kylers. So at this point we were quite evenly matched with points, but those T-64s were a really big problem, and the BMP-2s. So I fell back with my tanks, came in with a Tornado 10S or 1DS, which is a good bomber, West German bomber plane. And he's trying to get his unit infantry in here just to get a good choke point to just try and contest here, as he done with his motor rocket, which are quite good anti-tank units. But luckily my modders are quite effective against them. Lose one though, but still a good win-loss ratio. At this point I get units at Foxtrot and try and to secure it a bit more, get Jaegers in there. I send a Leopard 2 unit to go and try to find their command unit at this point. Put the Fuchs here in the trees to scout a bit. Now, as you can see, he's sending in his top tank, the T-80UMs, and these T-72s and so forth, straight down the middle, and here comes an IL-102 bomber, which is very potent planes. Luckily, my anti-air unit takes it out, but not without losing some casualties along the way. Now, I did manage to get some Leopards and so forth and a bit more positioning there, but not much else. And basically, we're just posturing at this point with Panzer Grenadiers, just holding out the line here against tanks coming in. But as you can see, he's bringing in a lot of units, and quite quickly as well. Now my Leopard 2s, I swapped them with the Fuchs, send the Fuchs in to try and scout for that command unit. And these BTR-70s can give out a good punch, so they are quite dangerous. Now he sends in his SU is just scouting to try and take out any of my planes that try to attack him. Now these T-80UMs are the main tanks of the Russian forces, so I decided to take those out quite early on. And I see those Tunguskas there, which I was really glad to have missed. And I don't kill any T-80UMs. Now, at this point, I was feeling the pressure quite a lot, because although I had Foxtrot, Bravo and Alpha, and a good position here in Foxtrot with the Leopard 2s camping there, he did have the MiG-25s, which I was really worried about, and a lot of helicopters, and I knew the units he's sending in is nothing compared to what he can send in the later stages of the game. But he falls back with his T-80UM, saying that he's a bit outmatched. Now at this point I was more worried about what's happening here and get distracted. So at this point I send in some Kanonenjagdpanzers, which are very good tank destroyers. They're not very well armored, but they are very cost effective. They cost 15 each. So, And they are very good tank killers, which make them very effective for the line of work I want them. Just camping in bushes, trying to take out tanks if they come in this way. And now, as you can see, he's spamming the T-64s and helicopters, and he's bringing a huge tank force up the middle. And I'm coming with my Leopard 2s here, and I know there's anti-air here somewhere. And I try to take them out and just try to buy myself some time while I can get some helicopters as well to just barrage these T-64s and 72s from afar. Now, these Nonas are good mortar units, which I intercept accidentally with my Leopard 2s and take them out quite easily. And that Tunguska takes out my helicopter, which was a pretty bad loss, but the rest of my helicopters more than a match for the T-64s in the center. Now, as you can see, I hasn't tried anything at the alpha position, which was kind of surprising for me, which meant because I haven't sent forces here in a while, so if he sent actually more forces to alpha, I would have been completely caught off guard. And I got some Fliegerfaust in here for extra anti-air security. And I pulled my helicopters back, I believe, yes. And we're having all sorts of kinds of fights around here. We have planes fighting planes, we have helicopters against helicopters, we have all kinds of stuff. He is, however, moving his BTR 70K command unit, which drops Foxtrot for a moment. If we skip a little bit faster, now here comes my Peace Rhines, which are basically 18G Warthogs what's the word? Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. Basically, they're good anti-ground planes, so variants. Now I also bring out my mortar units, which are just smoking the air, making sure that their helicopters and tanks don't get a good line of sight at the far distance. I send in my scout Lucius to make sure I can find that thing again, because as I said, I got distracted at the previous stage. And I forgot about the Tunguska and lost a lot of helicopters in the process. So basically at this point it meant that I didn't have a lot of helicopters left, and he had a lot of tanks and infantry left. So he was storming the front, and I was quite worried at this stage, because I mean, all those Motostrelki T-72s, BMPTs, BMP-2Ds with rockets, they're taken out by Panzer Grenadiers, my main anti-tank units. And I only have Jaegers and a Fliegerfaust and one Marder 1A1, which is not a lot against them. So I had to bring out more units. So what I decided is I bring out a small continuous unit with Jaguar 2s, Flak Panzers, Canon Jagdpanzers, and Marder VTSs, which are tank destroyers basically, because my funds at this point was quite low, so I couldn't afford to lose anything major and expensive, and couldn't build anything expensive as well. Whereas he had a lot of tanks and units where he could build them very cheaply, and just spam them against me. Luckily the Jaegers held out, and the Fliegerfaust as well, which gave me time to bring out the PH-2 Tigers, which are very good helicopters, which are categorized as recon units, but they have a lot of rockets, which are very good against ground. Now what I do is last time I found out that there is a huge gap in their defense perimeter over here, so I send in my tank destroyers in the woods here to kind of sort of ambush them the next time they send in the next wave of units. And I send in my Lucius just to kind of scout out his base. And while all of this was happening, I killed his command unit and captured Foxtrot, which really gave me a good income boost at this point. Now, here comes my Panzer Grenadiers, which I really needed, so I sent my mortars in to take out the BMPT. And here we can see his helicopters coming in, just taking out my Jaguar 2s quite easily. which was a bad part of my part. I did have flak panzers here, which are the cheap version anti-air units, but they were out of fuel, which was a problem. And my cannon Jagdpanzers were pretty well positioned for that period of time. Let's speed up a bit more. Now, as you can see, he's also just building a bit more because he's lost Delta and Foxtrot, so he doesn't get. He's basically just getting his main base, which is free every second, which is not a lot for the income he needs. Which is basically what I try to do in this match, is just deprive him of any sort of resources, because that's basically the only way you can win against Red 4. I try to smoke up this area so they don't get a clear line of sight. My flak panzers, for some reason, not getting nearly as much damage as I wanted against these helicopters, which meant my tank destroyers were easy targets. But then I decided at this point I didn't have any helicopters left. My tank destroyers were even getting low, so basically I just had my main battle tanks left, like the Leopard 2A1s, Leopard 2s, and so forth. And I got a Marder in there as well. Sent this entire group and got them ready. Oh, and I brought a Roland up in the middle because I knew those helicopters would be a real pain if I didn't deal with them. Get my bombers in there as well. Now, as you can see, I'm sending my Leopards and my main battle tank force over to Foxtrot to try and outflank him this way, because Charlie Alpha, I'm not sure if it's protected or not, because as you can see I can't really see anything at this point, so I'm blindly going in. And I couldn't remember how defended his main base was, so this was all stuff I needed to consider, and my mortar units just shooting at that area, just trying to pinpoint their position, and my Marder 1A1 stalling them as much time as I can, just so. Oh, and I moved up my Jagdpanzers over here just to be able to get some clean line of sight shots on the T-64s over here, which they quite effectively do actually. I lose a couple of them, but for the amount of units they killed, they help quite a lot. I moved up, and let's speed down. My flak panzers did run out of fuel, and my Leopards and Kylers moved up, and I was quite surprised. I didn't think that it would be unprotected. So I head up, I attack his command unit, which means he cannot bring any more units in. Take out his FOB. And if we pause right here, now he discovers this, and at this point he was not very happy, as you can imagine, of my performance. So now, as you can see, I only have Kylers, Leopard 2A1s, Leopard 2s, and Leopard 1A5s, and Panzer Grenadiers. And he's bringing in BTR 60s with infantry units, I believe his Motorstruckies as well in them. He has a helicopter unit over here, T-72s over here. So he had enough units. If he decided here to fall back and try to take out my tanks over here, he would have had enough units to take me out, because firstly my tanks would be facing against him, would be facing the opposite side to and tanks, as we all know, are very vulnerable at the back, so they would have clean, easy kill shots on my units. And then you would have a command unit ready to capture the point, which he didn't do. He found out about this, and he said this is a bit, he didn't expect this at all. So basically I didn't expect it as well to work. I mean, it's 11 tanks in total, and he surrendered, which meant, so that is one example of how, if you want to still stay in the game, try and instead of surrendering, fall back, take back your forces, fall back, take out those couple of tanks that are attacking you, and try your best. So yeah, this is a couple of tactics so far that I've shown you guys on how to defeat your opponents, or just try to survive against them, especially if your opponent is red 4 and they have a superiority in numbers anyways. So I hope you liked this video, and if you liked it, click the thumbs up button and subscribe down below. Your support really means a lot, guys. And also, thank you guys so much for your help in getting the channel over 10,000 views already. And I just can't express my gratitude and thanks for you guys for sticking with the channel so far. So I hope to see you next time. Take care and goodbye.